Now, broadcasting on Radio Star Worldwide, it's time for Dr. Rademakers' Prescription for Transformation. Let's tap into your own authentic genius and live the life you desire.
You are now listening to
Join Dr. Rademaker for an enlightened conversation about our brain intelligence, our body intelligence, and our energy intelligence. And now, here's your host, Dr. Bart Rademaker.
Welcome to my show. This is Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is your prescription for your transformation. And I'm really excited to be here. This has been long in the making, and there's so much that I do want to share, so many learnings that I've had over the years. And so I will be your radio host. I will be introducing new ideas, new voices, and doing many, many interviews. And so this is really that platform that welcomes all voices, and hearing these new voices so that we may learn new and better ways to navigate the storms we find ourselves in. And because it's really all about that. It's really all about, discovering new ways, new things that can help us transform and create the magic, create the life that we all desire. Because when you really think about it, there is an intelligence around us. There is a reason that you are here right now listening in, or wherever you are if you listen into this later on. Because there's also an intelligence inside of you. And so I always like to refer to the mind intelligence, the body intelligence, as well as the energy intelligence. And it is all about tapping into that authentic genius, because I really do feel there's a genius within all of us. And as you tap into that personal genius that you have, then you get to master the life that you really want to have. So when you start analyzing it, you really truly are the summation of all your beliefs, all your experiences, all the decisions you've made up to this very, very moment. So really, it's your fault. It's your fault that you're here. And so that's actually something that you can celebrate. Celebrate that you're here today, and taking ownership of the fact that you brought you here. Whatever it is that's happened in your life, it's all that brought you here right now. And when you get to own that, when you get to own your own personal greatness and also the stuff, the baggage that you carry around, change can happen, progress can happen, and it happens on purpose. So for today, I feel really blessed. I feel really blessed because of my parents, my friends, my teachers, and my mentors. And I'm really excited to welcome a very, very dear friend of mine, teacher and mentor, an inspirational leader, a thought leader that we all need to start listening to because of the things that he's aware of, the things that he's learned, and the learnings that he's gotten from others, and the things that he's also created as a thought leader as to how we can navigate the world in front of us. And so today, I'd like to invite Mitchell Stefko. Thank you so much, Mitch, for joining us today.
Hey, Bart. It's fantastic to be here with you and all your listeners.
Excellent. So let me just introduce briefly, Mitchell and this really exciting topic that I'm very eager to dive into with Mitchell, because I feel that he's really, truly one of the leading experts in this field. But Mitchell is what they call the Silicon Valley Business Rapid Growth Ninja, helping many companies, 150 companies, in over 5 billion in capital for growth. He's a CEO, coach, and strategy advisor, a co-founder of the Conscious Leaders Mastermind Group and Conscious Leaders Network. And also what I'm very excited about, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end, he's also the co-founder of Belief Medicine. And this is also what the future of medicine is all about. So Mitchell, today's talk is really about something that I find is really about our future. In fact, truly, that is always what my talks are all about. It is about that future. It is about our experience as being human, this being human, and bringing in those voices so that we can actually refine our identity, our programs, and our memes, and really establishing our greater independence from that generative and collaborative place. So it's about creating change and creating and enhancing life. But today, what we really are taking for granted in all of this is our business environment, our business culture. and it's very sustainability in our changing world. And in fact, the sustainability of the world if it doesn't change. And to talk about this, Mitchell, what is it that you want to refer to this element of business that we need to start talking about?
Well, I think Bart, and again, thank you for having me on. And I know enough about you to know that you're already very connected to the idea of leading consciously and conscious business. What's generated most of the economic benefit and has allowed the world to honestly be able to grow from 1 billion people a century ago to north of 7 billion now has primarily been through capitalism. And capitalism, is about creating goods and services and finding a buyer for those goods and services. I think when capitalism started, and if you go back couple hundred years ago to the Industrial Revolution, a lot of this was started by, people would argue, but mainly very value-centered, highly principled people that it was just assumed that you would do good while you're doing business, and your word was your handshake. And somehow capitalism has evolved into, in many sources, not always. I mean, there's plenty of wonderful conscious companies.
All right, I think we just lost Mitchell there for a moment. Hopefully, we'll get Mitchell back right in a second. And so, what really Mitchell's talking about here is this whole element of, what is capitalism really all about today? And in listening into much of what's happening in the media and many of the narratives or the conversations, is that it almost seems that capitalism is a bad thing.
Bart, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you back?
Yeah. I must have gone away. But the idea is that, there's a lot of capitalism, and again, this gets a lot of press right now, that a lot of companies solely operate for the absolute maximum profit. And in fact, if you're a publicly held company now, if as a CEO you do not do everything to maximize absolute profit, you literally cannot not only be thrown off your board, you could literally be prosecuted in some cases for doing anything that doesn't maximize profit on an absolute level. And again, while there are a number of companies that are more conscious and have always operated consciously, I think there's a lot of press and there's a lot of evidence that a lot of companies are, again, outsourcing jobs, not respecting the environment, not respecting their employees, not even in many cases respecting their customers. And I think I'm one of the major mega trends that I'm seeing, similar to being very involved very early in the internet trend in the mid-'90s, is that there is a sea change that's happening now where people are realizing that we have to combine other things besides just ultimate profit maximization to what is already generally a very successful model for generating wealth and abundance on the planet, which is capitalism.
Great. So, but let's talk about the whole purpose of conscious entrepreneurship. I mean, why do we really need that today? I mean, if somebody says, look, and I think this is what's happening a lot, is that people are operating out of a place of scarcity. And so therefore, from that space, then they are just going to want to get as much money as they can. They don't really care about anybody else. So where is the rub, if you will, that if we don't start tapping into this conscious entrepreneurship, this consciousness, what's going to happen?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that have concerns overall environmentally. The biggest corporations now, as most people are aware of, literally control the governments they work with. I mean, because of the way our political systems are set up, massive amounts of capital, billionaires, literally fund candidates or fund politicians to make certain decisions. So even the system of representation that our republic was founded on, I would argue that you and I probably don't have people representing our interests as much as several of the most major corporations or the wealthiest billionaires on the planet. And you've seen this arise with we've got a legitimate Democratic candidate for president, Bernie Sanders, who's an avowed socialist who would like to move more toward a European social democracy type of thing. And again, that has its pluses and minuses, but I do know that that if people can be inspired to build and have that capitalistic view, but also be inspired to do right by their employees, inspired to do right by other vendors, inspired to greater transparency, inspired to have an ecological environmental footprint. Many companies are now proving that you can do all those things, and in the long run, you're actually proving that those companies can outperform non-conscious companies on Wall Street.
So then here's the question. So, obviously the regular guy like yourself, myself, we don't have that voice. We don't have that leverage. So what are people like us to do? How can we be that instrument of change so that we can, actually have an impact on the future for our children's and our children's children?
Well, every single person here can start acting more consciously and voting with their dollars. And we're seeing that now that we have social media, being verbal on social media and voting with your dollars. If you have 2 or 3 choices of what kind of toothpaste you can buy, and one of them is organic, and one of them does not, tries to use a less toxic footprint on the planet, or has tubes that are more disposable. I saw a great company that's developing a biodegradable wrapper for their chocolates. They're organic free trade chocolates, and they've even at a higher price, they've developed a wrapper that will degrade and compost in 8 weeks. So you can start looking for those companies and voting with your dollars and your wallets. And, if you look at what happened with apartheid and people stopped investing in companies related to that, it forced change. And that's happening now across a lot of spectrums. And there, for example, are a couple groups that are rating companies. There's a type of company called a benefit corporation. And benefit corporations have to apply to more of a triple bottom line of both social, environmental, as well as bottom line. So you could look at people go to bcorporations.com and look at that, or there's another company called GameChangers500.com, which ranks companies in terms of how good of a corporate citizen are they, how good do they treat their people, how good do they treat everybody in the food chain, how mindful are they of their environmental imprint. And so, money is power, and so and a lot of higher-minded valued people wince at that. But we all spend money every day, and we can make more conscious choices to vote with our dollars on the companies that are acting most consciously.
And there is sometimes the challenge, right? I mean, we see people who have very unhealthy lifestyles do unhealthy things. What's going to inspire them and motivate them to start looking into the future and potentially buy something that's actually more expensive for them, but they're actually saving the environment? What's the message that we can start giving out to people so that they understand the implications?
Well, it depends on where you're at. Bart, obviously, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're living in the United States and you're making minimum wage, you're probably not going to be able to buy organic, but you may be able to buy organic on a few items. Their organic farming is getting up now to where the price difference is not that much. And if you look at a lot of studies that I've seen where you get a much higher nutritional content from organic foods, you're probably going to reduce your health costs and you're going to reduce your sick days. We have a program for helping people overcome insomnia called thesleepcompanion.com, and a recent study just showed that it's a $197 program, which people go like, wow, that's a lot more than NyQuil, but over the course of a year, you're going to spend $300 or $400 on NyQuil, and there's a lot of ingredients on NyQuil you may not want to be taking for a year or two.
Right.
Not to mention the lost work days due to sick. The Harvard just came out with a study a year ago of over 1,200 employees that showed that the average cost to an employer, and this would be a cost to you if you're an hourly or daily worker, of lost work days due to sickness or what they call presenteeism, where you're there but you're not operating at a high level, is over $2,000 a year.
Right.
So, if everybody's talking about, I want to be more healthy, the number one thing you can do to be more healthy is get the 7 to 9 hours of sleep you need every single night of your life. And having been an insomniac for 30 years who now sleeps fantastically, I can tell you no one thing is going to change your life more than that. And in fact, part of our passion for sleep is that if people want to become more conscious, more present, more aware of their mind, their body, and their energetic body, that kind of starts with being well rested. It's very hard to be conscious if you're exhausted.
And you're very, very right about that. And what I like to do is get back to that right after the break that we're going to start in a second. And also, right after the break, really talk about how people can get more information and what people are doing today to getting that message out. So we'll be right back after this break.
We'll be back with Dr. Rademacher right after these. It's people's secrets that make them interesting. People have been trusting their secrets to longtime business journalist Judy Schreiner for the last 25 years. And now you can hear them too on Radio Star Worldwide every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So have you been to the Horse and Cow yet? The Horse and Cow is a bar that caters to the submariner fleets and has been doing it for over 60 years. They've been in San Diego, San Francisco, Bremerton, and Guam. Today, they are famous for their burgers and hot wings and their signature drink, New Quaist. On their show, they talk with the brewing houses and distillers, liquor distributors, and patrons of the Horse and Cow. Yes, the Horse and Cow has a reputation for being an off-the-hook bar for submariners. But everyone is welcome, so pull up a chair and join the fun. And if you can't make it to the Horse and Cow Live, listen every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Radio Star Worldwide. It's happy hour at the Horse and Cow. Welcome back to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. And now, once again, your host, Dr. Bart Rademacher.
All right. This is Dr. Bart Rademacher, Prescription for Your Transformation. And I'm here with Mitchell Stefko, one of the conscious entrepreneurs and thought leaders in the changing business environment that we need to experience in our future. And so we were just talking about, the conscious entrepreneurship and how capitalism has evolved over the years. And it's really incumbent upon us as the consumers to now start taking action. And as Mitchell was saying just before the break, using your dollar, and dollar is power. And my question that I'd like to ask Mitchell, before we talk a little bit more about the sleep issue, is really, what are people doing right now that are getting that message out? It's one of my passions. It's one of the things that I'm looking to do myself. And that's the reason for this radio show and some of the other social network things that I'm doing. But I also want to hear from the expert, what is it that you are aware of today that people are effectively doing so that people are getting that message and getting inspired to start making smarter choices for themselves and their future?
I think it's a great question, Bart. And again, I think it all starts with yourself, because for us to serve the world in a better way, we ourselves have to practice being more conscious and more present and more connected and more aware. I mean, one of my partners and mentors, Robert Dilts, says the beginning of all transformation is awareness. If you're not aware of something, you can't change it. So, they're very simple. There's a huge wave, literally a tidal wave of mindfulness in leadership, and that's the idea of bringing, mindfulness practices. It's another word for meditation, although it doesn't have to have any kind of religious or spiritual connotation. Just giving yourself a quiet mind practice that you give to yourself 15 or 20 minutes a day. It can be either led by a guided, a CD or an audio, or it can be of self-practice. It can be a traditional type of meditation. But we don't give ourselves any quiet time or quiet space anymore to just really be present with our thoughts and listen. You talked about the intelligence in your model of the mind intelligence and the body intelligence and the energy intelligence. And one of my favorite quotes was by Joan of Arc, who was this teenager, being the leading general in France. And the general says to her, how come God only talks to you? Why should we follow you? She said, God's talking to all of you too. You're just not listening.
Right. And that is so true. And actually, I'm just coming out with a book called 52-Week Success Plan. And one of the chapters is really inspiring people to tap into this habit of listening to your own body. And so that's where this mindfulness really comes into play as well, is when you start listening in to yourself and the environment so that you can actually make smarter choices. But the challenge that I still see is that, we so many of us are stuck with what's just happening politically, what's happening in the media, what's happening on TV, sports. I mean, we have so many distractions, especially with the advanced technology that we have today and social media just, exploding. And my challenge, and maybe this is something that you and I are going to have to brainstorm later on, but how are we going to get that message out there? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, the social viral channels. The good news is this. I mean, you've got your own radio show. That was very difficult to do 20 years ago. It's very easy to do now. The hot forms of social media become very viral, where people who want to hear can listen to other audiences. Now, it's still up to people to want to listen and to choose where they're spending their time. I mean, I've chosen, especially with all the violence on television and the hyper political season, to essentially, go on a diet of far less television and news, and I choose my news more selectively now than I did in the past. And I'm spending more time listening to music. I'm spending more time talking with friends. It's a choice. I mean, the average American watches 3 or 4 hours of television a day. The average person that's younger is spending 3 to 4 hours on social media a day. Again, those are over the course. I think one of my other friends calculated over the course of 20 years, those 4 hours, even a day, even applying it at something that was income producing at $20 an hour, would equal over $1 million.
Wow.
So it's, again, starting to be present, because the way our minds naturally work, and I don't have to tell you this, you're a doctor, is that most of the time we are unconscious. We're running on autopilot. And part of being more conscious and being awake is consistently trying to find those patterns and snap out of them, so that we're not just on autopilot, that we don't just come home at 6 or 7 and plop down in front of the TV and lose the next 4 hours. That's just a choice.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
Yeah, you're so right about that. And it's interesting you said that, because I was at a point in my life, I was like 39, 40. I was very educated. I speak 4 languages, lived in 5 different countries, and I was confused. I was confused because I was stuck in my life until I heard new voices. I wasn't going to make a change. And, it is about having, access to that new information, those new voices, that new awareness. And that really is, and the real challenge too is, as I find it, is that sometimes we just don't know what we don't know, or it's way too complicated to get. And I love the world of personal development, personal growth, because it really allows you to get access to new resources within yourself, because there is truly what I've heard before called the 20x factor. There's 20 times more inside of you, and just making sure that we get it. But the problem is that I see, and it's the reason for my book, and this is why I'm talking about this right now, is that it's really hard to get that information. And so the book that I'm coming out just really simplifies it, 52 different habits that you can quickly implement, that really, if you did just one of those, would completely change your life. And one of the key, things that we need to change in our life, and I want to ask you about it now, is really about sleep. We just take that for granted. Again, in our busy life, the things that we have to do, there is a chronic lack of sleep. And so what I'd like the listeners to hear, because I know you're an expert at this, and if you've got this phenomenal program out there, then it makes very excited and really inspire people to start looking into and get access to it. But what are the problems with sleep when you don't sleep enough, and what can we do about that?
I'd like to start on that in just a second. I want to say a few more things about mindset. And again, my favorite thing to do, and the best thing that I've seen, and in modeling the most successful people in the world, is that they typically are giving themselves 15 to 20 minutes a day. And even if you just have 5, if that's all your schedule allows, and it's probably one of your 52 habits when people get the book, but but start your day with some type of mindfulness or still mind practice, so that you can get yourself into a state that feels more connected to yourself, and where it's almost kind of like taking out the trash every day, so you can go into the day with a clear mind. And then the other thing that I recommend to all of our clients in the mindful success, the successful conscious leaders group, is to kind of set your intention for what kind of day you want to have. And those two things together are unbelievably powerful. And it's an easy habit to start doing, because you'll start to see magical things happen in your life. And even if it means, again, you want to protect your sleep. And so it's finding that 15 minutes from either you get up earlier 15 minutes every day and go to bed 15 minutes earlier. But the most important single thing you'll do is to start your day right and get yourself into a positive mindset. One of my hugest passions is growth mindset and positive mindset, and how we can choose how we feel. Most people don't understand that every moment you're choosing to feel something. I think you said something about that at the beginning. And even when thoughts or beliefs trigger in that create a thought or feeling that you may not find pleasurable in the moment, you don't have to choose to stay with that feeling.
Right.
It's all a choice.
Right.
So the sleep, what I like to say in one of the slogans I created that a lot of people love, is that sleep isn't the end of your day, it's the start of your day. So even before that first 15 minutes that you give to yourself, getting deep, restful sleep, and again, we've gone way far away from that in our society. Americans used to sleep an average of 9 hours a night 50 years ago, and we're now down to 6.5 hours. All the leading sleep places in the world say that the average American needs between 7 and 9 hours, and the average is 8. So, the reason why there's a Starbucks on every corner and why 5 Hour Energy is a $4 or $5 billion company is because people are using short-term energy booster things to basically make up for the energy that they've lost by not getting proper rest every night.
Right.
And it's multifactorial. It's sleep has in our sleep model we have 7 different strategies we've modeled for successful sleepers. It's everything from going to bed and getting up at the same time every day, to having your room at a comfortable temperature, to making sure you block out light and noise distractions, to even having kind of some quiet downtime. I mean, we're all going 1,000 miles an hour right now, and it's like, my metaphor is, if you're driving a Ferrari at 120 miles an hour, and even with a car like that that's so high performance, if you put on the brakes, you still need a couple hundred feet to stop. And so one of our recommendations for sleep, along with listening to our program, is to give yourself that last 30 to 60 minutes to only do things that are relaxing and help you wind down from the hectic day that you've undoubtedly had.
Right. That clearly in our busy and demanding world is a challenge in of itself. And, I find myself challenged with that as well, especially when I get into that creative mode and I go past, the midnight hour, well into the wee hours in the morning. And I get to suffer the next day. And the truth is that, our bodies do need to recover. We do require that recovery time so that we can function optimally. And in so many different, aspects of our body, whether it is the mind, whether it is the body, or whether it is the energy within us. And that's where that intelligence comes in as well. And so I'm excited that you have created this program that's going to help people just get into that mindset again, as you talked about, so that they can live a healthy lifestyle. And the interesting thing too is when you've got better sleep, your life is magnified. It is so much better. And our intention and our beliefs get to be magnified as well, which is something that you are very passionate about. And after the break, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about belief medicine and what is that all about. And you introduced that to me, and very excited about that concept. And this is something that I believe, or I know, is going to revolutionize the future of medicine. And so
Fantastic,
right after the break,
Look forward to it.
Let's talk about it.
Fantastic.
We'll be back with Dr. Rademacher right after these. Stand Up and Speak Up with host Walt Grassel. Sharing stories of people who have taken steps to overcome their fears and now lead stronger, more fulfilling lives. Are you ready to take that first step towards a different life? Join Walt as he shares his tales of triumph over stage fright and public speaking. Walt has performed stand-up comedy at the Hollywood Improv, as well as the Flamingo in Las Vegas, and wants to help you conquer whatever is holding you back. Join him and his guests for Stand Up and Speak Up, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Radio Star Worldwide and on demand 24/7. If you are a family historian passionate about preserving and sharing family films and stories, a filmmaker wanting to move analog, legacy, or found footage into a digital project or documentary, a genealogy buff, memory keeper, or archivist, this show is for you. The Home Movie Legacy Project. Rhonda's passion for home movies and independent filmmaking stems from running Pro 8mm based in Burbank, known as the Super 8 experts for production and legacy footage for over 30 years. They have worked on thousands of projects for moguls and the masses, including Hollywood blockbusters such as Argo, Super 8, and JFK, TV shows, music videos, commercials, and the personal family film legacy of the world's most famous faces, industry icons, award-winning documentaries, and archival footage for the presidential libraries and museums. Each show will focus on compelling interviews with people who are telling their personal stories using home movies as a jumping-off point, sharing what was discovered or what was challenged or what was confirmed. Expert guests will share best practices to organize, digitize, socialize, and even monetize your old media formats and cutting-edge ways to bring them back into your digital life. And don't miss the weekly Tech Talk segment featuring Phil Vigent, the other half of the Pro 8mm story. Learn insider industry secrets of how to become head of your own studio. Don't miss the Home Movie Legacy Project, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on Radio Star Worldwide. Welcome back to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. And now, once again, your host, Dr. Bart Rademacher.
Well, welcome back. I'm really excited to be talking to Mitchell Stefko, and there truly is a common thread to this entire conversation, even though we jump from, conscious capitalism to sleep. And the way that I'd like to recap it is by saying this. And Mitchell, positioned it really extremely well and has helped me understand that aspect of our life. But it's really about having that right mindset, the right mindset that's going to take care of you, take care of your identity so that you get your own independence, as I like to put it, and so that you get to be in that space of what I call generative collaboration, where you really get to collaborate with the rest of the world to make the world a better place and being the change that you want to see in the world. And so, again, it is about having that mindset, having that congruency with self so that you're not fighting the lions and the tigers in this world trying to survive, because you've got that independence and you can start making smarter decisions. And a smarter decision then is not trying to beat the race by not sleeping, but really about having a proper sleep. And one of the things that I talk about in my book is about making a schedule where you actually have non-negotiable parts to it. And one of the non-negotiables, as I position that, is 8 hours of sleep. Stop negotiating with that. And when I changed that in my life, it had a dramatic effect. Not that I've always slept as well as I would like to, because I didn't do all the things that Mitchell was talking about, making sure that the environment was great, that there's no light and everything else. But making it non-negotiable has given me a much healthier state in my life. And so I want to welcome back Mitchell again. And
thanks, Bart. And I wanted to, before we move on to the next topic, I wanted to let all your folks know that if they want to go to thesleepcompanion.com, we have up for a little while longer. We're going to be taking it down probably by the end of the year or early in January. We have a complimentary audio that people can listen to as they fall asleep, which is a sample part of the overall Sleep Companion program, and it's how to release racing thoughts. Like if your sleep problem is your head hits the pillow and all you're thinking about is all you didn't get done today and all that you're not going to get done tomorrow, or how your kids are doing or not doing, or whatever is worrying you, if you can't find the off switch to your brain we have a phenomenal complimentary audio at thesleepcompanion.com for all of your listeners.
Oh, that's great. And I'll make sure that we get a link on the website, www.drrademaker.com, so that you can get access to this. So thank you for that, Mitchell.
And also, just again, to step back on if people want to learn more about how to be more of a conscious leader, we've also got a similar gift that is phenomenal. You've actually experienced this, Bart. It's Walt Disney's strategy to create anything, and that essentially comes as an audio with a handout, and people can find that at consciouslm.com. The word conscious, L for leaders, M for mastermind.com, and we'll be getting out a lot more complimentary content to people over the next year that's only been available to our exclusive group of 40 business owners and CEOs around the world that paid $25,000 to be in a private year-long program. We're going to be releasing lots of that content next year so we can get this message out to a broader world and impact more people.
That's awesome. So just to repeat that, this www.consciouslm.com, correct?
Yeah, and there's you just put in your first name and your email, and we'll get you the same strategy and process that Walt Disney used to create every one of his products, all of his amusement parks. It's still being used at Disney. It's used at Pixar. It's used in major corporations. It's very easy to learn and very easy to implement. And even if you don't create products, I literally use it to create my week and what my experience of each week of my life is going to be. So I plan my life in day, week, month, quarter, and year. And that's whenever I'm at my best is when I'm adhering, like you said, to something that's just not negotiable, which is literally just making a decision to plan to optimize your day, your week, your month, your quarter, and your upcoming year.
You're so right. And, I coach a lot of people and I remind them you've got 268 hours every week. If you don't define what those hours are going to be for, someone else will. And if someone else does, it's really, taken away from you.
Yeah,
So
Elon Musk, who basically has created 4 companies that have changed the planet. He created PayPal. For those of you who don't know Elon Musk, he's all of 41 years old. He created PayPal. He created the solar company that's public, that's basically bringing affordable solar panels to homes and businesses all over the world. He created Tesla, the automobile company, and he's created SpaceX, the world's first commercial private spacecraft company, which is going back to the moon next year and has gotten $4 billion in government contracts. So this guy could have retired or could have just done the same thing over again after PayPal, and he looked at what are 3 or 4 of the world's biggest problems and challenges and has gone out after them. And again, he has the same hours every day as every one of us. He's just much more purposeful and effective in leveraging all of his resources more fully than most of us do.
So you mean it's his fault, right?
It's his fault.
Exactly.
But it also would have been his fault if he'd taken his money from PayPal and laid on a beach the rest of his life. But instead, he chose to create 3 more world-changing companies, and my bet is he'll probably create another 10 more, 20 more over his career.
Yeah, and the guy is still pretty young, so he's got a lot left in him. So that's really exciting.
He literally is a modern day Edison in terms of what he's creating, and he probably will be more impactful than Thomas Edison was.
Right. No, it's amazing. And so just to recap, the other website for the sleep program, what was that again?
That is thesleepcompanion.com. So the word the, sleep, and then companion, companion.com. And right at the homepage, we have a great audio you can download, listen to, and start releasing your racing thoughts and sleeping better tonight. And, of course, this is just one small part of our overall program that's highly impactful. My partner and wife, Dr. Olga Stevko, developed the majority of this program. I've helped with some parts of it. And in her private practice, she has a 99% reversal rate for insomnia. It's stunning.
Well, that's incredible.
And our online product is gets up consistently the 80 to 90% range. So and we have a full money back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose. And having suffered from, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I suffered from insomnia for 30 years and nearly lost my life about 15 years ago. My health had gotten to such a bad state from my insomnia that I had the medical markers of somebody much older than I was, and decided to quit my amazing career, go find the solution to this. Spent 3 to 4 years looking for it. Worked on it with my wife and partner. She worked on it with many private clients and has now evolved what we believe is the most effective insomnia reversal program on the planet.
Oh, that's amazing. And, that's one of the things that I will be very passionate to help you promote, because it really truly is a game changer when you get to sleep well. And by taking it for granted or not having solutions out there to restore your health every single night, because the truth is that there's a lot of challenges to our body, to our mind, to our emotion, to our energy, is that we do really need that time. And one of the major reasons, I actually was listening to Deepak yesterday on Super Genes. He's talking about only 5% of our genes really are singularly causing disease. The other 95% aren't. And so basically, whatever it is that we're doing in our life, whatever it is that we're eating, whatever it is that we're thinking, is what's going to change it. And so I'm excited about that, and talking about thinking, and also the common thread with all of this is, making decisions. How do we make decisions? What is that awareness that we're also going to have? And so I was very blessed and fortunate to meet you and your partner and wife, Dr. Olga Stevko, and really enlightening me about the future of a field of medicine that you guys are founding called belief medicine. And just right before the break, we've got about 3 minutes, but and we'll continue after the break. But really, would like to have your perspective of what that really is all about, so that the listener gets to understand, as I understand, is that modern medicine isn't really our solution anymore. Technology is really going crazy with all these things and monitors that people believe are going to solve everything, but they really don't. And the real change needs to happen, not from a reactionary perspective of what medicine is. And, obviously medicine has advanced so much, but as a physician, been in the trade for over 30 years, I also understand that it's not working. And it's not working because of big pharmaceutical companies. It's not working because of government. They're just not helping. It's really about understanding that we're not even addressing the cause. And the cause, largely in what happens in our life today are our beliefs. So please share your perspectives, your thoughts.
Well, Bart, as you know, people have, thousands of beliefs and probably a hundred or hundreds of core beliefs. And a lot of those beliefs summarize up to a set of core values and principles that often govern how we run our lives. And in fact, how I help conscious leaders make better decisions is getting much clearer about their values that matter the most to them. And if they need to realign some of those with where they want to be, we help them do that so that everything goes through the filters of your values and your beliefs. Most people don't even know you can change your beliefs easily. That's why we got so excited about applied neurosciences like neurolinguistic programming, medical and clinical hypnosis. There are probably a dozen different modalities out there. Even cognitive behavioral therapy in the traditional therapy world is helping people identify what beliefs are that aren't serving you and going through paths to change them. You're literally like recoding the software, if you will, that's driving your life. And again, most people aren't even aware of what those are. But, when you reach for that donut at 10 o'clock at night, there's a belief or a pattern that's being triggered there that's probably unconscious, and you're probably not hungry. Most of the time, it's typically either an emotional or some patterned conditioned response. And it's, again, identifying them, finding out technologies that can help you change them so that you can literally be the designer of your own ultimate life.
And what do you mean by, you piqued my interest there, what do you mean by technologies that can change them?
Well, neurolinguistic programming is one of the main technologies that my spouse Olga and I are both trained 10 years plus and advanced practitioners of. medical hypnosis can help you change beliefs that you have about yourself. A lot of times people get to a threshold in life, and that can help them change beliefs. I mean, I would rather not get to that. I like to say that God can either tap you on the shoulder or slap you across the face. I prefer the taps to the slaps, but a few times I've had to get to the slap phase in order to kind of wake up to being that higher level person I want to be, and adopting beliefs that serve me more than don't support me. A great example of that for me is alcohol. I used to enjoy, drinking recreationally, mainly nice wines. It doesn't really serve my body. I don't have anything against people that do, but I know for me and for the type of level of presence and awareness that I want to be at, my body functions much better when I put cleaner fuel into it.
And I'll be honest with you, I would say that's true for everyone. And, it's interesting, being a European and alcohol is very easily available to everyone. And so we don't really have a problem with alcoholism in those countries, except for where it's not available. It's really interesting how that actually does work. But what's also interesting is that now there's that mindset that, 1 or 2 units of alcohol per day is a healthy thing. And the truth is that it's only healthy because we have unhealthy lifestyles, and it's not the right fuel that our body needs. And I agree with you. I'm not against anybody drinking however much they want to drink, but let's be real here. Our bodies are not designed to process things like that. No. And so we really, really shouldn't. And so
it's one of the greatest myths in health, and it's based on 1 or 2 isolated studies, mainly in cultures like France, where people have different patterns about how they drink socially. They have a glass of wine with dinner with good friends over 3 or 4 hours, and then before that or after that, they've probably taken a 2-hour walk. And so to take that out of context and say, oh, a glass of alcohol every day is healthy for you, when we all now know the neurotoxic effects of alcohol, brain research by people like Dr. Daniel Amen, what we know now with neuroscience is that even small amounts of alcohol seriously impact your body's and your mind's performance. They just do, and the effects can go on for days or weeks after a single event of drinking. So, that's the current modern research that's out there, and if people, it's easy to find, and I'm sure you'll have it hosted on your site for those that want to. And now my favorite drink is water with Meyer lemon, or it's various forms of healthy herbal teas, or when I want to go wild, then I'm okay with a little sugar, some natural raw organic coconut juice.
Right. No, I get that. And let's just wrap that up right after the break. I want to add some things to that. So we'll continue right after the break.
We'll be back with Dr. Rademacher right after these. Do you like the rock and roll way of doing things? How would you like to learn how to apply them to your business? Then tune in to the Tim Gillette Radio Show every Tuesday on Radio Star Worldwide. Tim Gillette is the creator of Rock and Roll Keys to Business Success, using music, motorcycles, and mentorship to teach entrepreneurs to become leaders in their industry. Join Tim and his guest every Tuesday at high noon Eastern on Radio Star Worldwide. Ask Roxy how to lead like it matters every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Roxy Hewardson is the Dear Abby of practical leadership advice. Whether you're a manager, an executive, or a CEO, running a large global firm, or a small business, or even just focusing on your life and family, join us on Ask Roxy. If leading other people or working with your boss is sometimes difficult for you, and there are challenges you aren't sure how to address, tune into Ask Roxy. Roxy's been there, from the front lines to the C-suite, as a leader, coach, teacher, and author. Her highly acclaimed new book, Lead Like It Matters, Because It Does, is a handbook, playbook, and workbook of must-dos, nice-to-dos, and really don't-dos of being an effective leader. Give yourself a boost this week with powerful advice that could actually change your life. Join Roxy and her guests and call in with your questions every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on Radio Star Worldwide and on demand 24/7. Welcome back to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. And now, once again, your host, Dr. Bart Rademacher.
Welcome. Welcome back. And I really like that intro. And I just have to say, I was just, reflecting on our conversation these last 45 minutes, Mitchell. But, we live in exciting times. I mean, just think of all the things that are possible. I mean, somebody's going back to the moon next year. And it's just absolutely amazing that we have such a privilege, that we have so many things available to us. And so it's really incumbent upon us to take advantage of it and to really make the most of it. There is no excuse anymore, not to have the health and not to have the life that you desire. And everybody has different dreams, different requirements. Not that one is any better than the other, but it's also the big dreams that clearly, make the changes in our world. And I'm excited to be talking to Mitchell because I've got a lot of respect for Mitchell and where he's come from, what he's doing, his vision and his passion. And together with his partner, Dr. Olga Stevko, and introducing this whole entire concept of belief medicine. And that for me is a real game changer. Body medicine is changing as well in the form of stem cells. Energy medicine is coming much more in the forefront and tapping into some of the wisdoms of our ancients. But something that we have real access to today is belief medicine. And I just want to put it in perspective for a second. And if you think about it, we have about 70 trillion cells in our body. And every cell has a specific function, whether it's a heart cell or a muscle cell or a liver cell. But they all have the same purpose, and the same purpose is to survive. And so basically, what happens with cells is that they're actually responding to the environment that's around them. They either move towards something so that they thrive, or they move away from a threat so that they can survive. And it's the same thing with our genes. And for once we discovered genes, we thought this was the panacea of everything. We really thought that the genes had an intelligence. They don't. They're just a program. They're just a blueprint of what needs to happen. And it's interesting is that it's the proteins and the molecules around the genes that really determine what gets expressed from those genes. And so here again, the gene is responsive to the environment around it. And so when we take a closer look, and there's a great book by Bruce Lipton, which is The Biology of Belief, it really is about, okay, what are those things that can affect the genes? And there's really only three. Number one is trauma. Number two is toxins. And it's shocking to know that there's over 350,000 environmental toxins that affect you every single day. Just think about, we were talking about sleep earlier on. Just think about the mattress and the sheets that you sleep on, the toxins of the materials within those, how those affect your body. 8 hours a day is what you're supposed to. That's many hours of taking those toxins in. But the other one, the final factor, the key factor that really is predominantly the major influence of how our genes are being affected are beliefs. And when you think about it, beliefs are just no more than a bunch of electrical impulses and molecules and chemicals, swimming around the genes. So when you can look at it from that perspective, that a belief has such a significant impact on what it is that is happening to your body. And here's where it really gets interesting. And this is just a sidestep from what I want to talk with Mitchell. But just like the wormholes that we have, the Einstein-Rosenberg break, we actually have the same kind of situation with our genetic material. 97% of our genetic material is, we don't know what it is, and most people just classify it as useless. But somehow, there is that transfer of thoughts and energy between people. And so not only will our thoughts affect our cells in our body, but it is going to affect others. And so this clearly is a new discipline, a game changer in the future of health. And so I'd like to hear some of the perspectives that Mitchell has and Dr. Olga Stevko in regards to this.
Well, for the average person, it's very difficult this is a big field to embrace. If you have thousands of beliefs that are driving your behavior, and I love Dr. Lipton, and he's also supportive of what we're doing with belief medicine, and said he's going to contribute articles and materials. is that, again, like right now, I believe I'm talking to Bart Rademacher. Is that a fact or a belief? It's a belief that I think is a fact, and probably a third party, somebody listening to this, can say, yeah, I hear Mitch and Bart, so therefore Mitch is talking to Bart, and that's probably a fact. Another belief I have is that, you're one of the brightest and most interesting people I've ever met. Now, that's an opinion, but it's still a belief that I hold very dearly based on 11 years of knowing you and seeing where your heart is and your passion for serving people and how you work and help people, and just a consistent way of being over time. I mean, the definition of a belief is just an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. And then at the surface level, at the belief, you're going to have a thought which is going to generate a feeling. And any feeling that you generate creates chemistry in your body. And if you have a feeling that makes you feel great or makes you feel happy or makes you feel inspired, you're going to generate a lot of positive chemistry in your body. If you watch a lot of news and see, what's going on with terrorism, and say, the thoughts that are going into your body and feelings, emotions are fear or resentment or anger or things like that, you're going to generate a lot of negative chemistry or harmful, not helpful chemistry in your body. And that's where the whole bar to belief medicine comes down to, is like, it's the idea of taking ownership for everything in your life, and from that point trying to figure out how can I improve my own internal chemistry by improving my beliefs, which will in turn, change my thoughts and my emotions toward things that optimize my body, optimize my genes. I mean, my wife and Bruce Lipton firmly believe that changing beliefs can literally change a gene expression. So just because somebody says you have the tendency for a gene to have X happen in your life, there's some very smart people out there, and I'm not smart enough to see, and I think we'll be able to prove it empirically, that you can literally flip off on or off the receptors through your beliefs and the feelings and emotions you generate, because your body listens to the instructions it's given.
Yeah, that's great, with the whole study of epigenetics. And I forget the exact number of switches that we have, but I think we have 20,000 genes and something to the effect of 2 million switches. And these switches, they just switch on and off depending on what's happening in that environment. And so that's just the key concept. So here again, it's your fault where you're at. And what's interesting, what I'm excited, because I'm also a life coach, is that, there's an opportunity to help people change their beliefs. And just in 1 minute, because we're about to wrap it up, Mitchell, is what are some of the things that you can see happening, whether it's your vision of your company or others, as to what's going to be happening in the future about helping this belief medicine come out?
Well, I think you're going to see more assessments of what your beliefs and values are, ways to online assess what are your core beliefs, what are your most important values, and then ways through either apps and working with professionals like you or Olga or myself or other trained professionals, find strategies and processes to up-level your beliefs so that you can literally recode yourself to be, like you said, that 20 times your potential that's resting inside of yourself. That's the ultimate dream. And the idea for me is I'd love to decide what emotional state I want to be in any situation, just like I would choose what clothing I'm going to wear for a specific event or activity.
Right. Well, I'm really excited to have been talking to you today, Mitchell, and I wish we had more time, because I know that we could be talking for hours, and I would like to invite you to take this offline on a new social media platform called blab.im. And so we will be talking, and this will be an ongoing conversation of what people can get access to. And I'm very excited to make that happen with you and other people, and really have real people, real conversations, new voices, new changes, and changing the world. So I'm Dr. Bart Rademacher, together with Mitchell Stevko. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for listening. And this is your prescription for transformation. You can go to www.drrademacher.com. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Transformation. Join Dr. Bart Rademacher live right here on Radio Star Worldwide each week. or on demand 24/7.